Okay, let's have a look at quick chords. When we first open the quick chords window, we get 25 different shapes for C major 7. These are also called voicings, and as you can see up the heading, we've got drop 3 voicings and drop 2 voicings. Now if we click on any of these chord diagrams, you can see that they play. Let me just boost the volume a little bit here. So you can see that when I click on these, that there is a representation over here of the chord on the fingerboard, and another representation over here which is a bigger version of the chord diagram. This diagram here for C major 7, right now it has got no information, but if we click on this little radio button for notes and we move out of it, it tells us that we have a C, a B, an E and a G in this chord. Those are the notes of C major 7. If we click on the spelling and move out of it, it changes to the degrees of which are on the chord, which is a 1 being the C, a 3 being an E, a 7 being a B flat, or B, sorry, and 5 which happens to be a G. So that happens whenever you click on any of these. So right now we'll just put that on notes just for fun. Now on this page you can see that there's a little pad here, and it lists all the scales that will fit to C major 7. So I can click on, say, Lydian. Now watch this. Now these views up here, it was originally just chords, but now it's changed to chords and scales. And we can see now the Lydian scale, C Lydian scale, imposed over all of the major chords, C major chords. If we play this, for example, we play this original shape here, and just like we saw before, all the notes are in this scale. Now just regarding this shape here, you can see that there are white notes, the chord notes obviously, and grey notes. Now these grey notes are also part of the chord. So in theory what you could do is you can start on any of the black chord tones or on the grey notes, which are chord tones, and play around somewhere through the scale and finish on a chord tone, and that should give you an approximate kind of sound of that chord. Of course it's not foolproof, but it can present some very interesting lines. Okay, what else can I teach you about that? Oh yeah, we can see the chord, the scale that we chose, which is C Lydian. Now these views up here give us just chords, scales and chords, just scales, and as you can see the grey notes are still there, and arpeggios. Now the arpeggio is simply all the notes in the chord displayed on each position, which can also give you some interesting lines, because if you're playing over a C major 7, all of these notes are going to work. Yeah, very interesting. Okay, now going back to the scale, we'll just go here for now. We know that we're dealing with C Lydian, so if we wanted some more information about C Lydian, we can click on Scale Info, and we get a window here that is information for the C Lydian scale. We can see some information about the C Lydian scale here. We've got the scale degrees, 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, 5, 6, 7. We have the scale notes, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B. We have all the 3-note chords that fit this particular scale. For example, these are all the C major, C sus2. Then we have, in this column section, we have 4 or more note chords, such as C6. Here we have a D7. So all of these correspond with the C Lydian scale. Over here we have scales that share the same note. As C Lydian is the fourth mode, if you will, of G major, you can see that we have all the modes that are connected to G major. We have C Lydian, D Mixolydian, E Aeolian, F sharp Locrian, G major, A Dorian, and B Phrygian. Major has another name, it's Ionian. Now, if I click on, say, some of these, for example, G major, it'll have the information and the notes and the scale degrees, and you can play it. Fantastic. Now over here we have scales that fit over the scale, which means to say that these scales don't have all the notes of C Lydian, but the notes that they do have fit C Lydian. So you can substitute C Lydian with any of these scales, or with any of these scales. So let's check out. How about Indian? No, let's choose. Indian. Okay. So this is a pentatonic scale, which means it's 5-tone, and we've got all these notes, and we can play it. Very interesting. So very interesting. So that is information for the scale that we're using. So let's close that. Over here we have chord pluralities. This gives us some information about chords that are similar to C major 7 but aren't C major 7. For example, rootless chord pluralities, A minor 9. This means that A minor 9 has all the notes of C major 7, but if you take off the root with the A, then it actually is only all the notes of C major 7. If I kept the A, it would be A minor 9. Then we have 3-note chords with the bass note, with a bass note. E minor with a C bass note is the same notes as C major 7. So we have two possibilities here. We can play our C major 7, or we can substitute it for A minor 9 or E minor and get the bass player to play a C. Alright, the next thing I want to show you is the button files. These things here are containers, so that you can store what you're looking at, the main chord on this fretboard, in a button file. Let's just go to Chords, and let's choose this chord here, which we are using, and we just click on this small button and it's stored in here. And if I hover over it, you can see it says C major 7. Let's change chords. So this is a good opportunity to see how this works. So I click on choose a chord, and I'll choose A minor 6. I think that's down here somewhere. Yes, A minor 6. Now as you see, all the chords in the background have now changed to A minor 6. So let's close this. I like this shape, so let's store this. Actually, let's see what scales fit over this. Got a whole bunch of scales. How about A Dorian? Let's put that over there. Yep. So that's good. We've got. Let's store that here into the next one. Now, if I click on the first one, as you can see, we've got our C major 7. If I click on the second one, we've got our A minor 6 with the position that we chose. So this is a really good tool if you want to store 4 chords that you're working on, perhaps in a progression, and you want to work out different ways to play them in the same place on the neck, or you want to get familiar with 4 different scales that change over chords. So you can see that the button files allow many different possibilities. Let's go check out some other things. First of all, let's go back to our C major 7. As you can see, we've got black notes on each of these diagrams, and we have the 1, which is an important note, and two other notes, which are the 3 and the 7. These are called guide tones, and they capture the essential notes to differentiate between the 3 chord families: major, minor, and dominant. In fact, you can just play guide tones if you want to stay out of the way of some pianist who's hogging all the audio bandwidth. You just comp on the 3 and the 7 when you hit the C major 7. We can actually turn off these notes by just this little menu here. I'm going to turn off all the notes. I'll click on, I'll just do this, close that. Now, as you can see, there are no numbers, and this may be easier for the guitar student or for yourself who just wants to play the chord shape, doesn't really want all this other number system going on here. They still play, everything still works the same. I like to show these, but what I'm going to do now, as I click them back on again, is I'm going to ask for Rootless Voicings. Now what this does is it gets rid of the 1. Now this means that you can play simpler chords because you assume that the bass player is playing the root, and this way you can create some nice sparse comping. Let's turn off Rootless Voicings. We've got other tools: launch the metronome, clear the button group, open the chord library, show sight reader toolbox clipboard, and output. Right now, let's have a look at what we can do with these chord diagrams. We can right click them, or on your Macintosh, control click, and you get copy to the clipboard, which is the computer clipboard, so that you can share this shape with many different applications, or you can copy it to the guitar sight reader toolbox clipboard. Let's do that. Now, this is opened up and it's showing us that we have a C major 7 with this voicing copied into the clipboard. Let's choose another one. Let's choose this one here. So we've got 2 shapes in the clipboard. Now, in a second I'm going to show you why this is a really useful tool. There's 2 ways that we can use this. First of all, let's turn it off, and we're going to open up chord library, which opens a brand new chord library, and here is the chords that we copied. Now we can just drag those onto a diagram here, and there it is. And then we can go in here, change the fingering. Just click on that and go edit, send to edit box. There it is there. And we can just change the voicings. Basically, it's a good way to get chords from quick chords into the chord library without too much fuss. The second way that you can use this, we don't want to save that. The second way to use this is by using the worksheet, because these chords can be dragged in the same kind of fashion. You can go and see the video on that. Right now we're just dealing with quick chords. There's not much more I can tell you about quick chords. As you can see, quick chords is a very powerful application for finding out new chords, new voicings for chords that you use often, substitutions for chords, finding out which scales work over what chords, learning about scales. And before I finish, I'm going to show you the output. Now for just chords and scales and arpeggios, we get a very similar output. Now when I say output, I mean print. Here's our print preview. So we have all our shapes of C major 7. We have the notes for C major 7 and the degrees. We have scales that fit the chord, notes and degrees. We have the pluralities. Let's choose A minor 7. And we'll use the scale of minor pentatonic. Okay, so very cool. Okay, so let's go to output, So here are all our new chords with the scale around it, A minor 7 with A minor pentatonic. Similar deal, we have all the scales, we have the pluralities, and we can print this, of course. These are great for study, not only for you, but also for your students, if you're a guitar teacher. So, the only other difference is when you choose just scales, and you print output, you get a different view. You get all the scales, of course, in 25 different places. Scales that fit the same notes, like all the different modes, basically that share the same notes. We get some information, we get notes for A minor pentatonic, we get 3-note chords and 4 or more note chords, so that's a really good printout as well. So I've covered everything pretty much in quick chords. Play around with this, I think you'll find it an invaluable tool. So be sure to check out all the other videos, and hopefully this has explained how this tool works, and if you have any other questions you can maybe want to pop into the forum. I haven't made the forum yet, but when there will be, you can check that out there. So let's close that, and au revoir.